once again to Real Shame, a show where we talk about our list of movie blind spots. My name's Andy.
And I'm Adam.
And this month, we're doing horror movies. This week, we're doing Australia horror movies, specifically Australian horror movies where creepy, crawly creatures attack people.
Crikeys.
Yeah. And so Adam's going to tell us all about what we're going to tackle today.
All right. An American journalist on assignment in the Australian outback encounters a man-eating crocodile while trapped on a rapidly flooding mud island in Rogue.
I thought you said crocs wouldn't attack a boat.
They're territorial animals, so if we've stumbled into one's territory, it's possible it might have given us a little nudge just to let us know we're not wanted.
A little nudge. Tell that to whoever was in that boat. My God, we're in the middle of nowhere
So we
here.
have to stay calm, man. We're going to be fine. My dad's going to realise something's happened and he'll send a search party to find us.
Rogue came out in 2007, is written and directed by Greg McLean. Greg McLean has directed a bunch of movies. He directed Wolf Creek and its sequel, which I think is, I don't know how popular it is, but I think a lot of horror fans have heard of and know Wolf Creek. And I think you've seen
I've seen the first one. I never saw the second one. I seem to remember, it's been a while. I seem to remember it was pretty good.
That's good.
Yeah.
He did the Belko Experiment, which I saw with Kirby, and James Gunn produced. I thought it was
not a successful experiment for you.
It was not. I think Kirby liked it a little bit more. It's a kind of like trapped in one place, like a battle royale kind of vibe to it and stuff like that. Nice. And did The Jungle, which I think we talked about earlier.
On
Monday, which I don't know if that's a mistake or if that's actually true. You have to look up an IMDb to know for sure. Rogue stars Radha Mitchell as Kate Ryan, Michael Vartan, who I love, as Pete McKeel.
And he loves you.
Hopefully he does. He's awesome. Sam Worthington, yes, before he battled blue aliens, he was taking on Crocs.
I mean, really before he was famous, right?
As Neil Kelly, Carolina Brazier as Mary Ellen, Stephen Curry, not the basketball player.
Stephen Curry.
Yeah, as Simon. And very young, I think it was actually an early role for her too, Mia Wasikowska as Sherry. You'll see her later on as like Alice in Wonderland and stuff like that.
The Tim Burton.
Yeah.
Alice in Wonderland movies.
So a lot of famous faces here. I even think Radha Mitchell went on to other stuff. Yeah, go ahead.
A couple of other people.
Yeah.
So Greg McLean, that directed this, worked with John Jarrett. John Jarrett plays the guy who dumps the ashes out.
Okay, yeah.
He's the bad guy in Wolf Creek.
Gotcha.
He was in Picnic at Hanging Rock, which we did.
Oh, really?
A long time ago. Very young John Jarrett is in Picnic at Hanging Rock.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So he's a very well-known Australian actor.
Well, there you go. I'm glad you pulled it out.
Oh, and Longmire. You didn't mention Longmire.
I did not mention Longmire.
The guy that plays Longmire on Netflix, that's the guy that he's basically the first victim.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Longmire.
I like that about this movie, but we'll get into that. I have not heard of Rogue. Again, was looking for when nature attacks kind of in Australia, and then saw Rogue and Blackwater. I thought it'd be interesting to put them both on the list.
Yep.
Have you heard of Rogue before this?
No. This one in Blackwater, they missed me.
Yep. All right, well, I'm going to toss it over to you since I talked about the movie. What are your thoughts? You didn't know much about Rogue going into it, but what are your thoughts after watching Rogue?
Yeah, so I put this note in all three of the movies that we did this week, but I have yet to actually say it. This movie has a lot of shots of like nature and insects and things. Kind of interstitially, is that a word? Interstitially, between kind of the main action, and so do the other movies that we talked about this week. And again, I think that kind of unifies all of them because they're kind of showing like there's a lot of creatures in the outback.
Yeah.
There's a lot of creatures in the country in Australia. So I like that about all three movies. It kind of shows like spiders or koala bears or snakes or whatever. These different things kind of running around, kangaroos, whatever the case may be. This movie, like Blackwater, also appears to have been shot digitally.
Yeah,
if you agree with that. So. And again, I don't mind that at all. I didn't think it looked bad, honestly. I mean, I know on Monday I said Blackwater kind of looked like a TV show almost to me at first. This movie didn't really strike me like that.
No, I think Blackwater is pretty flat. This one seems to have a little bit more dynamics.
Yes,
in the way it was shot.
I completely agree. But obviously, I mean, I was familiar with several members of the cast, and I was like, oh, that's the girl from Alice in Wonderland. She's really, really young. And Sam Worthington, again, as we mentioned, this is kind of before he,
went off to Pandora.
Went his career went to the stratosphere when he did Avatar.
Came back down.
Well, yeah, it did. but there for a hot minute, he was in like Avatar and like the Clash of the Titans remake and some other stuff.
Terminator Dark Fury.
Yeah, that's right.
Or
yeah,
not Dark Fury.
Dark Fate.
The one before.
Whatever. What's the one? Salvation?
Genesis. Terminator Genesis. That I like.
I thought he was in Salvation with Christian Bale. Right?
Oh, maybe it was that one. I thought he was in Genesis with
Genesis has
Jason
Michael Jai White, How do you say his name? Or no.
It's Jason Clarke.
What's it?
Jai Courtney. Another Australian.
I knew it had J-A-I.
Yeah. Sorry, Jai Courtney.
Person.
I got Sam Worthington and Jai Courtney confused. I feel really bad about that.
And then Radha Mitchell prior to this was in Silent Hill, which I don't really care for.
Did we revisit that not too long ago? That was rough.
Yeah, but it definitely has its fans. So she I guess at this point was no stranger to horror. But anyway, I digress. I didn't know anything about this movie, and after I did watch it after I watched Blackwater, which I thought was kind of dull. So this by comparison is much more exciting.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that.
And I mean, I thought this movie was good overall. I mean, I liked it. There's some things that I'll get into later that I was like, but. Overall, I thought it was pretty exciting. Again, I like the fact I'm not faulting Blackwater for only having basically 3 people in it because it's based on a true kind of event or whatever. But this is a little more exciting because you have more potential victims.
Yeah.
For the crocodile, I thought the crocodile. Like the CGI, because obviously this uses way more CGI than Blackwater did. I didn't think the CGI looked bad because most of the time it's at night, so you can't really see the imperfections.
Yeah, you don't really see details or anything.
Yeah, you just see like this huge CGI crocodile's like tail going in the water or something like that. But I thought overall it's pretty exciting, and I was a fan. I mean, there wasn't anything about it, that I was like, oh my God, I have to remember this scene or whatever. But I just thought overall it was a pretty exciting and fun and very much, at least for me, under the radar kind of monster or creature in the water kind of movie, whatever you want to classify it as. Did you know anything about Rogue going into it?
I did not. I saw Michael Vartan was in it and I was very excited.
You're like, I'm watching that.
I'm on board.
Yeah.
I'm on the boat. So like you, I really like this. I think that of the movies we watched this week, I enjoyed this one the most. This one's the most modern kind of movie, out of everything we watched. And if you like movies like Anaconda, or if you like movies like we talked about, like Bait, it's that, right? You have giant animal attacking people, right?
Yeah.
I will say, like when we first saw the intro, we're seeing just shots of the Australian Outback and all that kind of stuff. I thought for a second I put on the Lion King remake. I'm just waiting for like Mufasa to come up and all that kind of stuff. Rafiki lift up the baby. It didn't happen.
No.
In this movie, there's some things. There's some things I like about this movie. There's some things I don't like about this movie. I think this movie tries to give everyone on the boat like something like to chew on or to be like a character of. And I feel like that works a little bit for some characters and doesn't work a little bit for other characters. So obviously, like you said, the guy from Wolf Creek, he had a spouse or a significant other, a family member pass away, and he's on the boat just to kind of put their ashes in the water. But then you have the guy sitting in front of him that's like the camera guy. He's oh, I got this fancy camera. But then he like was eating something in his bag. Was that alcohol? Like,
I don't know.
Is he like an alcoholic? Like, he has some weird quirk that I was like, okay, this is interesting. Like, why are they doing this for this guy? And they try to give each person like a thing.
Yeah.
And like I said, some people it felt more successful with than others. So I could take it or leave it. I do think some of the kills in here are pretty shocking and like surprising, which I think is cool.
And hilarious.
Like when that one guy's like on the, like they do the whole like, and I'm gonna ruin the deep blue sea for people, but they do the whole like guy standing there, he thinks he's fine, and all of a sudden, boom, he's gone, kind of thing. Whereas deep blue sea, you see it. On this one, he just there one scene, gone the next. I think that's awesome. Like I think that's perfect, like way to kind of do that stuff. And then how Sam Worthington's character gets dispatched, you know, he'd think everything's fine, and all of a sudden there's like a rustle and he's gone, right?
Yeah.
I like that kind of stuff. Like I think that's kind of interesting and well done. And you know, it's bringing a lot to this premise. I will say at the end, I'm not the biggest fan of like that whole set piece of him trying to save Kate and all that kind of stuff, and she looks pretty messed up. Like I'm surprised she's going to survive any of that.
Well, you see, I wrote Kate is still alive.
Oh, I didn't see
Please.
that. Yeah.
I didn't like that.
She
I mean,
was-
I didn't mind the set piece itself, but the fact that she was still living, I was like, come on.
Yeah. It was that felt a little much. Like it strained
Definitely.
the little of this movie that there was.
Yeah.
I think a little too much. But other than that, you know, like I said, it's if you like Anaconda, if you like Bait, if you like those kind of movies, this one you're gonna have a lot of fun. It delivers for all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I definitely think this movie is a lot of fun, and you sit down and watch it with a group of friends or whatever. I think you'll have a blast. I like the fact that as we mentioned, Sam Worthington was not post Avatar Sam Worthington, so I wasn't as surprised to see him die. But when Rhoda Mitchell got killed, I thought, wow, they actually killed her. And then she's back and like, oh, she's miraculously still alive. I was like, they should have just left her dead, right? Yeah. Because essentially he saves her and they life flight her out of there. And it's like, it's not like they get together or anything like that. So I was like, what's the point? I don't know. I didn't really, that didn't sit well with me. I wish that she would have died because I was like, wow, they actually killed like, not the main character really, but one of the main characters.
Yeah, I think she's one of the mains, yeah.
But it's also, I didn't mention this, but it's nice to hear her talk because she is Australian. It's nice to hear Rhoda Mitchell in her natural accent. She's not, I'm not saying she does a bad American accent. I honestly don't remember, but I feel like every movie I've ever seen her in, she's American or she's doing an American accent. This movie, I was like, oh yeah, she's Australian.
I was worried that Michael Vartan was going to have an accent, but he comes out very like American. I was like, all right, that's his accent.
Yeah.
Which is good. So I think it's pretty good. I probably don't need all the stuff at the beginning, like with him kind of landing in town and talking to the bar. Is that a bar he goes to or like a coffee shop
where they put like a fly in his drink, his cappuccino or whatever it is. Yeah, I don't mind that because he looks at all the gruesome photos of the crocodiles and at the end they put him on the wall.
And apparently those are all actual newspaper clippings and articles.
That's interesting.
Australia's dangerous.
It is. It's an unforgiving country. Don't stray out of the city.
That's right. Is that a song?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
But don't stray out of the city. No, I don't know. I wouldn't know. But based on these movies, don't stray out of the city.
Don't go in the outback or the wilds of Australia.
Nope.
All right. Well, that's what do I say in these things? We're the critics on Rogue.
Yeah, they're pretty favorable. I think Blackwater on Monday was 80% fresh. This is 89% fresh. 54% audience. Once again, no Leonard Maltin review. So I yanked the IMDb score, which is 6.2 out of 10. Definitely the highest out of the 3 Australian movies that we talked about this week.
All right. Well, we're wrapping it up. We have just one more episode before we're done with our October horror movies and all that kind of stuff. And we're going to give you a twofer on Halloween and all that kind of stuff. Please let us know if there's any Australian horror movies that we haven't seen or we haven't mentioned that we should see. I know you saw Razorback not too long ago, and you're a fan of that one. Were you not a fan of that one?
I like a lot of the visuals, but there's a lot that I didn't like. It's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay. I mean, I'd say it's worth a watch just for the visuals alone.
And there's some I want to say more prestige ones that we kind of didn't watch this week, like Snowtown Murders and Killing Fields or something like that, that we kind of haven't dug into that I'd be curious to see. But
Lake Mungo.
Let us know down below if you have a favorite Australian horror movie. We'll be sure to kind of put that on our list to watch next time around.
Definitely.
All right, guys. Please subscribe, do all that social media stuff. We really do appreciate it. And we'll see you Monday on Halloween, All Hallows Eve. Is it All Hallows? Yeah, All Hallows Eve with Twofer. And we'll see you soon, guys. Have a good one.